welcome to Unmute Now, the podcast that raises the volume on the whispered conversations in our community. Thank you for joining us. If it's your first time, welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming again. My name is Angela Ifanlaja, and with me today are my co-hosts. We have Yolande Robertson Green.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited today. Not the usual for me, is it?
And we have Natasha Lassen.
Happy African Week.
All right. And Raquel McKee.
Hi everybody and welcome.
Well, we are excited about today. We are doing a special as we are commemorating Africa Week here in Northern Ireland, and specifically Africa Day, which is celebrated internationally on the 25th of May. And so today we have a treat for you. A little bit of a snippet of it you've heard already, and we're going to go back to that in a moment. We have a number of guests, and I'll be introducing them as we go along. First of all, I'm going to introduce Thomas Anang. Hi, Thomas.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're most welcome.
All right. So, Thomas, we're going to ask you to just play again for us, and then we'll come back to you and have a chat. How about?
Okay.
We'll try and dance on our seats together.
So I'm going to give you my favorite tune, which is the Malago, From Home. If I say home, that's where I come from, which is Ghana. And again, not just Ghana, but the tribe which I come from, the Gan tribe. So please enjoy Malago from me.
Okay, thank you.
I couldn't keep my eyes off it. I'm like, and you're in a trance. And is this the one where you go, ah?
Wow.
I felt like that was the moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's hard to just get, well, you can't. I saw your leg work going there. I know you're itching to ask him. Go ahead and ask him.
Thomas, that was absolutely fascinating. I could not keep my eyes off your hands on those drums. And I mean, a number of questions come to me. First one is, and this is really short, so hopefully you can answer it quickly, and then I'll ask you another question, which is, what kind of drums are these?
So this is the Panago drum.
Palogo drum.
Panago, which is KPANAGLO.
Ah,
Okay.
Panglo. Right,
Panglo,
okay.
yeah.
Very good, very good. And then the other thoughts that were coming to me was that people have this notion that African drumming is so exotic and, you know, it's oh so lovely, da, da, da. But there's a lot more to African drumming than that.
African drumming, or when it comes to drum, people just see this drum, which is the djembe,
Yes.
as the only drum in Africa. But I would say this represents like West Africa. Like Ghana is one of them, Guinea, Mali, Senegal, which is the west coast of Africa. But this drum, particularly the one I played with the Panago drum, that's from my tribe. So playing that for me is like going back home and getting to the ancestors and being in the culture mode. You know, so when I'm playing djembe all over Africa, I was going to play that, but that's like, I don't know. For me, djembe is like a spoiled child.
I love it.
Yeah, with a lot of noise, you know, so that's very loud. That's why I call it the spoiled child. Goes everywhere. You know, but Panago, more of me.
Oh, it's lovely, lovely. And tell me a little bit about rituals and so on associated with the drums.
You know, drum really, it's like you can have it in all occasions, like for
Births.
birthdays, festival, like any sort of festival, you know, naming ceremonies, you know, when they are, let's say our ancestors, we need to write a special prayers to them. The drum always lead the way because, you know, we speak more of, like we speak a lot through the drum.
Okay.
You know, I might say something on this drum, maybe you might, you know, you guys would not understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But somebody from home will know what I'm playing.
And I want to ask you, what were you saying?
I was just singing. That's what I was just playing, so singing. And like people can sing with their voice.
Yes,
I was
you're singing
on
with the
drum.
drums. Lovely, lovely. I was singing
Sorry.
too.
I'm just curious, Thomas, and
Yeah.
this is just very for my own interest. I just want to know how did this begin for you, though? Was this just something you picked up from maybe your parents, or did you have to go to school in Ghana? How did this begin?
I was born in the family, both my mother's side and my father's side. There's always, let's say, what people will call that voodoo, but for us it's not voodoo. It's our way of communicating to the ancestors. So when I go to my mother's side, always the drumming when they are going to do their rituals and their prayers and whatever, the music. So I kind of grew up getting to it. So I know more of the tradition. This is just singing, by the way, but there's more of tradition, which I don't normally play that here in Northern Ireland. When I go home, I'd go deep into it.
Oh boy, I want to be there.
Yeah, you know, so that, and again, at the age of 10, I joined group. So then that's where I learned different rhythms from different cultures, from different countries like Guinea, Senegal. You know, I haven't been to Senegal, but I can play rhythm from Senegal because I learned those ones. But the like of Palogo or Ge or Nana play, these are different rhythms, by the way. You know, they are like very typical Ghanaian tradition.
How have you been able to use your art form here, your drumming here in Northern Ireland?
I've used a lot, to be honest, because you know, through the drumming, that brought me here. And again, I have engaged with both sides of the communities, and they all welcome me so well, you know, through the drumming. And since I've been here in Northern Ireland, I have touched on countable number of people, you know, and everywhere I go, the feedback was positive, you know, from schools to, you know,
Corporate events?
corporate events, youth
cultural
groups,
events.
community groups, just name them, everywhere, you know.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's
So,
a good thing for bringing the community together,
is,
isn't it?
yes, it is.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Well, why don't you tell those of our listeners and those who are watching, where would somebody be able to find you? What are your social media handles?
so to find me or for you to invite me to come to your program, wherever you are, You just go to maybe Facebook, just type in Thomas Annan Drumming and Dance,
Okay.
or just contact me on my number, which is 078-045-99562.
We'll put it in the description for you. So.
Might get a lot of contacts.
All right.
Tom.
Thank you so much, Thomas. All right.
Fantastic.
Wow, well, thank you again, Thomas. We have worked up an appetite. And so this is great timing for bringing on Commis Kitchen. All right, you're very welcome, Commis. Thank you for joining us today. You have brought us some delights from across Africa. And as we try them, we'll attempt to talk.
Here we go. I'm going straight for the drink. I'm not
I
so
will
sure, but
do
this
the
resembles
same.
our sorrel back home. And I'm a bit thirsty, so I'm going for the drink.
Let's try that first. Cheers.
Happy Africa Week.
Happy African Week.
Well, Commis, you are from Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, right? And would some of this stuff, would this be native to you, or other areas as well?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, yeah.
Well, tell us exactly what's in each of these plates then, or dishes.
We have a plantain.
Yes, we recognize that.
That's one thing we know.
Ladies,
Fried plantain.
You can-
Universal by now.
Yeah, fried plantain.
or plantain, as some of you would say.
Morning.
It is plantain.
Plantain.
You say plantain?
Plantain.
Plantain.
No,
plantain.
Of course, we call that aloko.
Aloko.
Now you just brought another dimension into it. All right. Thank you.
Then we have a sweet potato.
I can see that, and I actually love sweet potato chips.
Yeah.
It's not something that really was in the
fried.
Caribbean, particularly because obviously the texture of sweet potato here is different. It's a more yellowish sweet potato, but in the Caribbean, ours would be like white sweet potato. But
Yeah. We have white
like
as well
it,
in
the white.
Nigeria.
We have purple, but the inside is like a white.
Whitish,
gray.
yeah.
Ours actually, the skin is white, and the inside is also white, and it's firmer, but it's just as sweet. Yeah.
In Jamaica, we have both. We have the white one and we have the purple one. So well, you know, this one, with the orange flesh.
Nice.
Tasty. And what else do you have here? Like, what's this?
Yam. We have a yam. There.
Okay.
that's fried yam or baked?
Fried.
Fried.
Yeah.
Not the usual way for our yams. And you notice I keep comparing you with the Caribbean. It's Africa Week, people.
No, but hey, it's all within the same.
Yes.
But that's how we got here.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. We are people of African descent.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So-
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we
We're
call
seeing our
this,
roots.
we call fried yam dundu
Okay.
in Nigeria.
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
you
sounds
would.
like something we call certain people, but I'll tell you all about it. It's not bad.
Oh,
It's not bad.
And we would dip this. How would you normally eat this? Because we would dip it in a
With
sauce.
tomato sauce or anything ketchup or anything brown sauce, anything you like, chili sauce, whatever you like. Yeah.
It's like an
For those of you who don't know, yam, and I'm talking while I'm eating, is a root vegetable, so very much like potato, and it has that bready texture.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like breadfruit.
Yes, it does look a bit like breadfruit, but no, the texture would definitely be more like potato than it would be for
I call
breadfruit.
it the big brother of potato.
And the good thing about yam is that if you buy a piece of yam, you can feed the whole household with one piece of yam. Whereas when you buy a potato, you have to buy a few more before the whole family gets fed.
The funny thing is, Angela, we don't have no jollof rice here
No,
today.
not today.
This is the finger food special.
It's the finger foods, not every day jollof
You are
rice.
not allowed to come in here with your jollof rice.
Which other way would you do the yam?
The boiled one, just pre-boil, put some oil, some salt if you like, and that's it. You can eat it with fried eggs or anything you like it.
We would do that.
Like
yeah,
potato.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
pound it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have pounded yam.
Pound, yeah, and swallow it. Yeah.
Yeah, swallow.
Yeah.
You know what
Yes.
we call swallow? When you have the doughy type consistency. So we would have pounded yam, you mash it up and it becomes swallow, and you eat that with the stew. Or I'm trying to think, what would you have similar? I suppose maybe dumpling.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we would do yams, and I don't know about Antigua or St. Vincent, but we would put yams in our soups.
Yes.
Yeah, we
That's
would
how
too.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we would steam a piece of yam and eat it with meat. We get also mashed yams, but a lot of us tend to mash potatoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do a yam porridge as well.
Yeah.
I've never had
Yam
that.
porridge and
Lovely.
stew.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
yam for stew
Yeah, yeah.
also.
And sometimes we put plantain in there too.
Oh, yes, we would
Plantain in the
sometimes
stew?
In the
yes.
yam porridge.
And wow.
Yam porridge.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know where I'm coming for dinner.
Do you know, last weekend we had a barbecue, the weather was fantastic, and I did roasted yam
Oh, yes.
on the barbecue.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would like a roast sweet
Yeah.
potato. That's one of the things when we
Same
were growing
idea.
up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying poverty, but it was for fun. Back home when they had a wee outside fire, you go and you throw into sweet
To sweet
potato and
potatoes,
roast
yes.
that and eat it.
I did
Coal
roast them.
pot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go
Yes.
dig up in the garden and you put it in the coal pot and you roast
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, reminiscent.
Girls, come on, we gotta eat
What else have you got?
What else do we have here?
Oh, we have a puff puff.
Okay. And this looks like fried dumplings.
For us, yeah. Or baked.
Yeah, we call that African donut.
Okay. Yes.
We have this in
Dough,
Nigeria
right?
as well.
Yeah.
The dough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you call it puff puff in Ivory Coast?
No, actually we call it beignet.
Beignet. Okay.
We
Puff
call it
puff, I think, is what we call it in
galette.
Nigeria.
The galette.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Galette.
call it fried dumpling, bakes, Johnny cakes are the three names I know in the Caribbean for the same thing here.
Okay.
Thank you. You're going to stop now? I'm going to have one
No,
more.
but try the chicken.
I'm gonna try the chicken.
Drumettes, the chicken.
The wings.
Yeah, so explain your
when
wings.
we're off camera.
No, for the people who are listening as well would like to know what we're having. So
These are chicken wings, but this bit is the little leg.
we call them
As
drumettes.
Drumettes.
Yeah,
Okay, there you go.
drumettes. That's what I know them as.
And I can see some sesame seeds sprinkled on top, as
Yeah.
well as is that parsley?
Is that coriander?
Coriander.
Okay. Okay.
Here the
Um,
cooks.
Yeah. So I'm about to try.
What did you do with this?
Just marinate with some garlic, fresh ginger, Maggi, some pepper, just a little bit of oil, some mustard if you want, just a little bit of mustard. Yeah.
And is it in the oven or fried?
Oven.
Yeah,
Oven.
that's the healthier way.
Listen, before the people see how we crave, that's the word we use back home to say greedy. Let's stop now because I'm going to be eating more.
Oh, thank you so much, Camissa.
Thank you for having
This is
me.
lovely.
You're very
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Tasty.
And the great thing about this is it's really representative of a good number of nations across Africa, right? So quite a few people would be able to identify with this. So to our listeners and to our viewers, go check it out. Next time you go down to the high street, you see a little shop that has yam in there. Don't be afraid. Try it out. You can boil it. You know, do it easy. Plantain, you love it. Everybody, surely. I've never met a person that didn't like plantain.
Universal stuff.
So go try it out.
Do you want to leave your contact information,
Yes.
anything?
How can people
Social
reach you?
media?
Yeah.
Cook your food? Yeah.
Hi, my phone number is 07 85 82 36 414.
Okay.
Lovely.
And we'll get your details and we'll put it also.
All right.
on
Thank you.
the
Thank you
page.
very
so much
much.
for having me.
Not at all.
you,
Thank
Camissa.
you. This is delicious.
That was absolutely delicious.
I'll finish with you.
I would love to
tomorrow.
smell a vision because then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Well, that was yummy. Thanks again to Camissa's Kitchen. Now we've moved the food out of the way and we're back to conversations. I have to say the food was getting a bit of a distraction. We had to move it away. All right. We're going to introduce you to our next guest. It's a young lady by the name of Gloriabolaringua, and she's joining us by Zoom today from Wales. Very welcome, Gloria. Thank you for joining us today. Well, listen, you were actually in Belfast, weren't you, for some time studying before going back to Nigeria, where you're originally from, and then you're back again studying in Wales. Just tell us a little bit, what did you study when you came here? What are you studying right now? And what sort of impact did that have when you went back to Nigeria?
While I was in Belfast, that was between 2013 to 2017, I studied biomedical science at Queen's University, Belfast. And after I completed my program, I returned back to Nigeria. I wasn't sure what I was going to expect, or what I was going to meet in Nigeria. And that's because of, you get to hear different information from different people and all of this mixed feelings. So it was a bit of a scare, but then it was good because so many good things came out of returning back to Nigeria. And I'm happy to be back for my master's in public health at the University of South Wales. And I have worked with two nonprofit organizations that one worked with young people that's trying to empower young people to provide them with resources to start up their businesses or expand their businesses. And the other one, which I'm currently working with, the focus is on underdeveloped communities and internally displaced persons, people who have been affected by crises or insurgents in parts of Nigeria and are currently living in shelters or camps. So we work with them to provide them with maybe healthcare or education, food, clean water, and also empower the women. So my program, public health, has a big part to also play in what we do as an organization. And yes, I'm just empowering myself and getting myself more equipped to help people that I'm really passionate about.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Gloria. Now, you had done some research. You've done a project where you've done some research about some really innovative things that are coming out of various countries in Africa, particularly led by young people. So would you just share with us some of the things that you discovered as a result of that research?
So I would say, unfortunately, the information that is being aired out about Africa most of the time isn't really positive. But in fact, there are many young people who are very passionate and driven about changing that narrative about the continent as a whole. And so I just picked up just a few people in agriculture, the automobile industry, medicine, and also health or hygiene. And for the very first person here is a 36-year-old Nigerian who owns an agricultural digital platform. And what he does is he connects small-scale farmers with investors and also big buyers out there to enable products from the farms reach the right consumers. So what he does is provide these small-scale farmers with resources. That's where the investors come in. So the investors are people like you and I who are looking for places to invest our money. And with our resources or the resources of the investors, he's able to empower the rural farmers because most of what they struggle with is expanding their businesses, or there's no source of resources to produce in large quantities. So through those fundings that come in as investments, they train the farmers, they provide them with better machineries, better seedlings, more or less modern techniques. And so they use that to produce in large quantities. Then the organization also sell these products directly to the big marketers out there. And you as an investor, so everybody wins. Farmers make a whole lot of profits because most of the time they tend to be the poorest, even after doing all the work. And then as an investor, depending on how long your investment is for, you get the return in investment. And then again, the big buyers out there would definitely meet the needs of consumers in the market.
What's the name of the organization, Gloria?
It's called Farm Crowdy.
Farm Crowdy.
That's very interesting, Gloria. And I'm just wondering, tell us a little bit about how it impacts the community. How does it impact the country?
So, this particular organization is based in Nigeria. And then what we see common in rural communities is that young people are leaving the rural areas or villages for the urban cities. And they're doing that because they're chasing better opportunities and, better sources of income, better lifestyle, really. But then through this organization, young people then, those of them who are still in the rural villages can dream, can have inspirations, know that, even where I am right now, I can actually grow. Like there's something great out there for me. So what he does is, it's not just the farmers, he incorporates young people that are in the villages. There's education because they definitely need to learn how to read, how to write, how to, banking, accountability. and all those what I say, things that are involved in business development. So it's a holistic approach. He's not just going there to enable them produce more. No, that's not it. Everyone is learning, and I've watched a couple of videos of like testimonials from some of these farmers who have said they've been able to send their children to school. They have better housing now. They've been able to develop their community. They have maybe access to water because together they can come together, pour resources together, and solve some of the issues that have been, has been a problem for them as a community. So
fantastic.
He's done this in over 16 states in Nigeria. He has empowered over 400,000 farmers. Wow. So it's growing.
That's great.
In 5 years, he has done that much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I just say, Gloria, I think it's an interesting way to use crowdfunding. And I think for us, we're on the theme, Reboot the Future. And so I think what you're going to tell us and what you've just told us is really appropriately sitting within, I suppose, one of the themes for this year's African Week celebration.
Yeah.
Yes, once you mentioned crowdfunding, that rang a bell, and that was one of the avenues, especially when he started the business. And you will notice that many young people in Africa use that method, in addition to many other programs that they apply for to showcase their talents and get funding to start up their businesses. So it's one that has been there for years, and now it's growing. More people are becoming more aware of crowdfunding. More people are aware of, pulling resources through and just networking, really. And it's been helping so many young Africans.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
So tell us what's happening in medicine.
Okay. In medicine, there's this young lady. She's 24 years old. She's from Uganda. Her name is Shamim Kalisa. Her company uses artificial intelligence to conduct breast and cervical cancer screening. So at a young age of 13, she had lost her mother to breast cancer and, I think it was cervical cancer. And then I think before she turned 20, she was also diagnosed with breast cancer. She actually lost one of her breasts to breast cancer, but in her own case, it was detected early. So coming from that kind of background, and according to her mother's last words were, find the solution to this problem. And so it had motivated her over the years. And now she has started up this company where she goes into very rural communities with her team, and they conduct screening, breast cancer and cervical cancer. Since she started the organization of the company in 2017, there's been more funding. Her business became well known. So now she uses artificial intelligence. In fact, during the lockdown, she was using drones to get samples from the rural communities to the labs. So a situation where you're in the comfort of your homes, in your home, and people come, take your samples and send it to the lab. And then when they come back to these women in their villages, they enlighten them more, teach them more preventive measures, what to do, who to speak to, and things like that. And her business, it has expanded now because she's realized that it's not just carrying out the screening that is enough. There's also educating them, there's also empowering them, there's also teaching them about health and hygiene and just protecting them, really. So as of 2019, the screening kits have been distributed to over 25 countries in Africa. So it's
brilliant.
Yes.
She's 24 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Doing big things. Technology, sometimes we're scared of it, but it really, it's had its good uses, and it's really changing people's lives.
Makes a significant difference.
Yes.
I've also heard about heart conditions being managed using AI medical kits in the deep parts of the rural areas, and hospitals being able to treat people from a distance. It's fascinating stuff taking place in Africa.
Fact, I think that maybe the so-called first world should adopt some of those practices.
Absolutely.
Especially now that we're here in the middle of a pandemic, and unless you're really close to dying, you can't even go to see your GP. You have to be serious.
they could send a drone out and collect samples from us and make sure that we're doing well, yeah? So
Fair, good
I think she needs to come and open the branch over here.
Yes.
Thank you, Gloria. Now tell us what's happening in the automotive industry.
Okay. Yes, so for the automobile, it's called Nord Automobile. It's owned by Toby Ajayi. He's a Nigerian. When he started off by working at Mercedes-Benz. As we do this thing in Nigeria, it's like a 1-year placement after you graduated from university. So during that 1-year placement, worked with Mercedes-Benz, and so he kind of got into automobiles and knew more about it. And from there, he managed one of the departments. He climbed up the ladder of success quickly, just being very creative and innovative. And after he completed his program, he had people who were willing to invest in him to start up his own company. So himself and a group of other people co-founded the first company, which was, I think it was Jet Van. They became the only authorized company in Nigeria to bring in Mercedes-Benz, particular brand of Mercedes-Benz. And from there, he decided, you know what, I think after a couple of years, he decided, I think I should really start my own automobile company. I've been in the industry, I understand it, and things like that. So currently, he's also assembling his own vehicles in Nigeria. And I think, was it a year ago or 2 years ago, he was able to purchase a very big plot of land somewhere in Nigeria. It's a rural community, but then he has brought in the locals of that community to work in the factory. So he's also empowering them, teach them how to put the vehicles together, assemble everything, and then selling them. And it's his vehicles are affordable, they're durable, because they're being produced in the country. So, and it's solving a very big problem in Nigeria, because most people, a very small percentage fly, very small percentage use trains. We don't really have so many train networks in Nigeria. So the most effective way of transportation in Nigeria is road transport. So through that, he has all sorts and kinds of brands, and people are encouraged, like, I can actually and do something big. We don't always have to depend on foreign countries to import everything. We can locally produce our own and manufacture our own cars.
Fantastic. And lastly, you had another initiative that you wanted to tell us about, right, within the area of sanitation?
At the age of 17, he's South African. He invented the first world's best, it's waterless body wash. So it's a gel. And basically you just rub it off like a gel, the way we use our hand sanitizers, but then you use that all over your body, and then it takes out dead cells. And he invented this at the age of 17. So currently, half of his products are imported or exported to the United States. Wow. And his story is very peculiar, because he grew up in a very poor community. And he said one of the biggest issues or challenges there was accessing water. So he needed to find a way to solve that problem. People can access water, but people need to bath. People need to be clean. And that was what really motivated him to do this. And he said whenever he started, it took him 4 years to put together, to gather 1 million rand to actually start up the company. So it was something where he had to participate in virtually every kind and all kinds of entrepreneurship programs in South Africa. And he had to win each one of them just so he can pull all these resources together and start up this company. And now he's 31 and he's doing even so many other great things. But his invention was...
I'm really happy that you've shared all of this with us today. And this is the conversation about Africa that we prefer to hear and that we want to raise the volume on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because generally the theme that we're kind of working on, not just for Africa Day, but just for our particular episode, is like shining a light on the lesser known or lesser seen aspects of Africa, the things that we don't see in mainstream media. So it's good to hear stories like these, and for everybody else to hear these stories as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for coming along and sharing this with us. It's been really encouraging, really inspirational, and you've clearly done a lot of work in this field, so really commend you for what you're doing, and just continue to raise the volume on these things. Continue to raise the volume.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for luck in your studies.
Yes.
All the best.
Thanks, Baba. And now we have with us our final guest. We have the great pleasure of having with us Ellie Omondi Adhiambo. Please welcome him.
Thank you.
Ellie, thank you so much for joining us today. Please, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, the first time I came here was in August 1999.
Okay.
Just at the start of the Great Good Friday Agreement, just after that, and I went back to Kenya, came back, and got to work at the University of Ulster doing research work about race relations, migration, history. I have a passion for history, so that's, in a nutshell, passion for history, doing a bit of journalism, and yes.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
So we're really
watching
going
the
to
clouds pass by.
Oh, no, you do a lot more than that. And we're going to be tapping into those things that you know as we go on.
Yes.
Ellie, we had Gloria on there telling us about some of the initiatives that are coming out of various nations in Africa. These are things that we don't hear often. And I remember in 2019, the author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie had given a TED talk where she talked about the danger of the single story when it comes to Africa. How important is it for us to hear these kind of stories that Gloria was telling us, and why don't we hear them so often?
Unfortunately, my biased opinion would be if something doesn't really make much money, if it's not commercialized, then you wouldn't really hear much about it, because
Spoken like a journalist.
so this is the problem. I think, because the story of Africa is big. Most of the misfortunes of the continent of Africa could be some fortunes for other parts of the world. But that's the truth. And it's upon the media and other mainstream, so-called mainstream organizations to reflect and change, those stereotypes and put some good news about the continent of Africa. So, for example, this is about Africa Week, and I remember in 2007, May 2007, we had this big event that took place for 2 days, and it was called Umoja Festival, about Africa, but in the northwest. So that was in Derry, stroke Londonderry, stroke city, stroke legendary. Yeah, so there were political and social discussions, and there was things about African migrants in Northern Ireland and development issues in Africa. But because the community is small, or was still relatively small in the northwest, I think the story wasn't shared much in the local media as such. So I think the media sometimes find it difficult to get African stories if it's not about sports, Yeah, so
Well, we're changing that.
Yes.
And you talked about your passion for history. What would be your thoughts, or what would be some of those known historians that you want to highlight, or the contributions perhaps in Northern Ireland within the field of academics that you think should be mentioned?
Yes. Well, this guy, Dr. Raphael Amato, he lived in Derry in the 1940s, and this guy was a medical physician. He was a poet who wrote so many books, and an anthropologist as well. There's no topic that he didn't touch. He just loved doing.
Is he of African descent?
Yes, from Ghana. Yeah.
Right.
And so he did things beyond just his medical work in Derry during the war. So obviously he would have been the only African or black person in Derry, at that time. Or maybe it's possible that American soldiers.
Soldiers could have been.
Who could have been, yeah, there would have been some black soldiers, but those were in the camps anyway. So we as the community of Africans living in the Northwest in Derry at that time, approached the Ulster History Circle. So those are the guys who, it's like English heritage, the guys who deal with the blue plaque.
Yes. Okay.
And we presented them with the story of Dr. Amato and all that he did, not just in science. And he was a big scientist back then. And he was then, they did their own little research, the Ulster History Circle, and they approved putting the plaque.
Very good. Well done.
And his son came over from London. He's now a retired teacher. Yeah, he came to unveil the plaque. So that plaque is there in Derry. Wonderful. So that's a story about Africans in the diaspora, right? Yeah.
But and in an era where people don't assume or associate with having Africans here.
Yes, I mean the only other thing you can see relatively visible in Northern Ireland about Africans or the black history is when you go to Davis Street on the Lower Falls, and there's the murals of Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Barack Obama,
we're working on that.
and Bob Marley. So there is that's the only specific place anyway. But so apart from that, so we have only these two curated things: the portraits there on Davis Street, and the plaque of Dr. Amato in Derry. So that's the only two visible things, apart from we walking around in the streets.
But, that's fascinating. So let me, these conversations are so important. And thank you so much for coming along to discuss this with us today. And it's as you said, it's just the beginning. Platforms like Unmute Now and others who are doing things like this to just raise the volume on these issues. So important that we continue. And I know that you do that through your writing as well. So thank you so much for the way that you're shining the light, on areas that need that. So we now need to just bring this to a wrap. We've had a wonderful time. I hope that our audience, that you have just enjoyed this journey with us. We know you haven't been able to taste the food, but hopefully you were able to enjoy it vicariously through us and the drumming as well. Really want to thank all of our guests: Thomas Tanang, who drummed for us; Gloriabolaringua, who told us about the things happening in Africa; and Ellie, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to ask you this: we give this opportunity to every one of our guests, and you're going to get this opportunity today. So in 30 seconds, if you could raise the volume on something, what would you raise the volume on?
I continue to write about race relations, and I think we will reach a point where Northern Ireland and Great Britain and the Republic of Ireland will just have a normal race relations environment. We will reach there, but for me right now, it is something that I must continue to write about. And some people have questioned me about why I keep writing about this when there is no racial problems. And these are people, I know people from here who read it every week, and they've told me they're concerned that I keep writing about race relations. So this is for me at the moment, because I feel that it's affecting many aspects of society here. And that's the one that I'm focused on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you for coming and joining us today. Well, we hope that you have been enlightened as you listen to this, and we hope that you yourself will do your bit to just find out a little bit more about those little known stories about Africa and raise the volume yourself. So thank you so much for joining us, and now I'm going to ask one of our lovely ladies to share with you our social media handles where you can find us each time. Who's going to do the honors for us today?
I will.
Thank you, Tassie.
You can find us on Instagram at Unmute Now, on Twitter at UnmuteNow1, and on Facebook, facebook.com/UnmuteNow. If you'd like to send us an email, you can email us at unmutenow1@gmail.com, and find us on all our audio podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you listen to find podcasts.
Done like a pro. Thank you, Tessa.
You're welcome.
Thank you, our listeners. Until the next time, keep raising the volume on those whispered conversations in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.